If you want some off-road lights to turn on and off when you turn on and off your headlights, you're going to need to tap into the electrical circuit of that headlight to control those off-road lights. And teaching you how to tap into that headlight circuit is exactly what we're going to cover today in lesson number 8 of this Branch Circuits playlist. My name is Nate, and welcome to the explorist.life Mobile, Marine, and Off-Grid Electrical Academy. Now, before we get started, there's a couple prerequisite pieces of information you need to know, like cutting wire, stripping wire, crimping terminals into wire, but we've already covered that in a specific playlist of this academy, so go back and review that if you don't already know how to do this part. And lastly, before we get started, the fuse block that we're using in this particular demo is the Blue Sea blade fuse block. Now, there's several different types of fuse blocks on the market, like the Progressive Dynamics fuse block, the Blue Sea Safety Hub, the Tiger Expedition UFO 200, and all of those are realistically going to be connected in much the same way. They're all getting their power from a different distribution hub, like the Victron Lynx distributor, which is getting its power from the battery. But we're going to skip all of that side of the system and focus mainly on how we get power to the rest of the branch circuit. Let's get started. Now, I will be covering the actual connector that I like to physically accomplish what we're going to talk about, but a overarching view of how relays work and how we're going to use relays to accomplish what we're talking about in this video is in order. So we've already covered relays in a previous video, but a very brief overview of that is a relay is in place to be controlled by another switch. And the switch is simply allowing voltage to get to one side of the relay, or the signal side of the relay. So power is flowing straight through the relay. The relay is opening or closing depending on if we're getting voltage to this wire right here. And in the previous example, that was just by means of a switch. But what if we're trying to do this from a headlight where you're not really tapping into the actual lever that's behind the steering wheel to control the headlights? Well, it sort of looks like this. So from your engine's ECM, that's sending power up through the lever behind the steering wheel, and then it's sending power out to directly control the headlights of the car. Pretty straightforward. Toggle that switch forward, turns the headlights on, backwards, headlights off. But what if we wanted to control our off-road lighting that we've got mounted up on the hood of the car or whatever the case is from that circuit? Well, we're just going to find that wire that's going into the back of the headlights, and you can find that by looking at the back of the headlights, and you're going to find a couple wires that are going back there. Find the positive wire and then tap into that positive wire so that anytime these headlights are getting voltage and are therefore on, it's going to activate this relay and allow power to flow through that relay to our off-road lighting. Now, what you can't do is you can't just splice into this wire and then try to power your light. If you do that, this wire is set up to power these lights only and not sized appropriately for the 500 watts worth of off-road lighting that you're going to be trying to put on. So we have to use this through a relay. That way there's nearly no power added to this circuit, and instead it's just a signal wire that's activating the relay, where your power is then going through from your auxiliary fuse block to your off-road lighting. That's how the circuit actually works. So let's talk about how we make that actual physical connection. Quick rundown of what we have going on here. This, pretend it's our headlights. So we turn our headlights on and off from the switch that's right behind the steering wheel. So we're just going to have used a little make-believe magic right here. And this is delivering power just from the car. Now, we don't have to worry about this circuit, where it's coming from, anything like that. You won't see that on your car. All you need to know is that there is a positive wire going into the back of the headlight here. That's not too bright. Face it towards the camera. So that's just turning off and on whenever this switch is activated. That's sending voltage to this power wire right here, this positive wire right here. So on, off, headlights on, off. Pretty straightforward. Now we have up here, I've already wired the headlight circuit, the off-road lighting circuits through this relay. Power is coming through these two wires. positive and negative, and then out here. So the relay is powered from this negative, so relay ground here. And then the only thing that's not allowing this to activate right now as we turn on our headlight off and on switch is this relay can't turn on because it's not getting any voltage to the white signal wire right here at the relay. So remember, power is just coming through this switch for all intents and purposes out to this. We just need voltage to this to be able to turn it on. So to do that, we're just going to go to the back of our headlight right here, and we're going to use, it's called a Posi-Tap. Let's see, we'll get that in the frame here. So this is a Posi-Tap. So this side of it, we're going to put a wire in there, and then that's going to go to the signal wire of the relay. And then this other side, it unscrews like so. This goes over the headlight wire like that. There's a little groove right inside of there. And then there's a little spike inside of the Posi-Tap right there. And so when you put that wire in there and tighten all this down, it just drives that spike through the insulation into the copper of the wire so that we're getting power coming out of here. Now, is it a great electrical connection? Do you want to flow a lot of power through that? No, we're just using it to draw, the couple milliamps to turn on and off the relay. So there's really not a lot of power flowing through it. It's just a voltage signal. So I'm going to unscrew the back part off right here. I'm going to grab the wire that I'm going to use as our signal wire, using pink just so it's kind of easier to see on camera. We're going to put a stripped end of one wire through that end right there. And so our wires are sticking out. Looks like that. And then I'm going to put that end into that side of the Posi-Tap connector. You can see the little metal piece inside of there. It's pretty small. I think we're getting it on camera now. And I'm just going to put it in there like that, kind of wiggle it around a little so the metal comes in direct contact with the wire. And then I'm just going to screw that together, tightens it up, locks it in place, and makes a weather-tight seal on this end. It's not waterproof, but it is weather-tight. So this other end, I'm going to unscrew that, revealing the spike right here. And I'm going to put that somewhere on this wire that's going from the headlight switch to the back of the headlights. It doesn't really matter where. I'm going to choose right here, this side. Actually, this wire is a little too thick. So these do come in different sizes, so you just want to size this Posi-Tap for the wires you're connecting it to. So we're going to move on to this side where there's a smaller wire. So put our headlight positive into that slot, and then put that spiked side in there. We're just going to spin it down. Like so. And then we can connect the other side to the signal wire of the relay, like so. And if we've done it right, our headlights turn on and our off-road lighting turns on all at the same time. And that's because power is flowing through this relay to our off-road lights, and the signal wire is getting power from that headlight wire. Now, is this damaging this wire? Yeah, honestly, a little bit it is, but that there's not a really great way to do this without damaging the wire, and this is common practice for how to make this connection. Now, if you're really worried about, introducing moisture into there, you can kind of cover this up and seal it however you feel like you need to for your particular installation. Or if you're really, really worried and you just think this is a bad idea, you don't really have to do off-road lighting, but we're talking about vehicle modifications here. So maybe if you are curious about this and you don't like doing this, this is probably in the channel for you anyway. So this is how you do this and set this up. This is a great connection method for delivering power to a relay for off-road lighting from your factory headlighting. So in the next video, we're actually going to take a step away from relays and Posi-Taps and external lighting, and we're going to step back into interior lighting, and we're going to talk about dimmers. two-way dimmers and why two-way dimmers don't work. So click over here to watch and we'll see you over there.